And I'm back. I had to get me some tea and stuff like that, so, really think. But anyway, what one of the things that made me think about something was, I don't know why, but when I mentioned about, if the match got thrown out, it's, that's where it's like, I was getting a little more, because here's my mind thought. Now, as I already mentioned, I am a fan of physical combat, you know, and one of the factor is, even though I don't know if I mentioned already, I have a background in martial arts. And because of that experience, that's why I'm a fan of it. But not only that, but my knowledge is when you throw out a match, that means one of the combatants could finish. It's kind of like a last man standing match, pretty much. It's like, only difference is you've seen it in boxing, you've seen it in like K1s, sometime in MMA and stuff like that. When the referee, in his mind view, sees a combatant or a participant or an opponent, whichever label you want to use, cannot finish, or they believe, okay, this person's done. Basically, he got his butt whooped. Then the person still standing, the person still active, won the match. So even though with that mind thought process, last night, that would mean Seth Rollins defeated The Fiend. Yeah. Now, that's stupid, obviously, but realistically, like I said, I watch other forms of combat sport. That's what happens, and that's reality based. But if you're gonna, in the world of wrestling, when they throw out a match, they try to make it seem like, oh, there's no winner, there was no loser. The referee just called off the match. But reality-wise, the way I'm looking at it, that means Seth won because he was beating up Bray Wyatt, the Fiend Bray Wyatt, so bad the referee felt that he couldn't continue. That's one of the reasons why I said, whatever reason you gave for the reason why the match was called off, going to make you look like an idiotic peon. But again, my opinion last night, it looked like it was a DQ. But again, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. So now, obviously, another reason why I got pissed last night was because, okay, The Fiend. I have become a fan of this character. I like this new reinventation of Bray Wyatt, this new aura, this new characteristic, this new page of Bray's evolution. So for me, it was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Now, granted, I'm not gonna lie, it's nothing new. I've seen stuff like this in horror movies, but believe it or not, in the world of movies, my favorite have always been in the horror genre. Even though I'll admit Hollywood seemed to be, well, failing at that department, which hurts me all the time, but it still is something I enjoy. It's found in comic books or mangas or anything like that. Anything where there's like a horror element or a thriller element, it's there. You know what I mean? Even books. If you're a fan of reading books, it's there. It's like, it's really cool. So when I saw this Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt, since the first introduction, my initial reaction was, okay, odd, but I want to see where this goes. And it just blossomed to the point where I'm like, yes, this is it. There's a connection for me. Now, Here's my issue. If you honestly did not have any plan to put the Universal title on Bray Wyatt, my thing is, why would you book this match? This is the Fiend's second match. Second. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it seemed like it was too soon. But at the same time, like back when Seth and Braun Strowman was feuding, Bray Wyatt, the one that said he will challenge the champion or the winner of that match for the Universal title. If you didn't want that to happen, you shouldn't have let that, moniker be known or, push that story. You see, what you should have done, because here's, alright, here's what your problem is. I'm gonna just flat out say it. You know what your problem is? Is that you have to have a pay-per-view every month. You do not need to have a pay-per-view every month. Space it out. Have more of a story. You got so many people in your roster, people you don't even utilize, who you could have easily helped fill the gap of creating new story, creating new elements, having different structures or view of different characters that can pretty much elevate your pay-per-view coming up. Have it more like a good build. Now, I understand some people may be getting a little too excited, like, oh, well, what about in between before the pay-per-view? What could happen? Make like other stipulation match, like, I don't know, have like a parking lot brawl, or a falls count anywhere, or, whatever have you. Something that, can keep the story ongoing without it hitting the peak where it's like, oh, that's pay-per-view um, level right there. You know what I mean? Like, for example, instead of Bray Wyatt facing Seth Rollins for the Universal title, what you should have done is, like I already mentioned, or I probably didn't mention, but I just thought of it. Robert Roode, the glorious one, the is the one that pinned Seth Rollins to win the tag team title. But here's the thing. Robert Roode pinned Seth Rollins while Seth Rollins Universal Champion. What you could have done easily instead is be like, have Roode constantly, as an egomaniac that he can be, constantly remind Seth Rollins, how are you the champ when you couldn't even beat me? I'm the one that pinned you to gain the tag team title. Build it up. They don't have to really face each other, but have Robert Roode be in Seth Rollins' mind. Like every time Seth Rollins has a match, he shows up. He either interferes or he's a guest. He just becomes an annoying personality to Seth Rollins. It would have made sense, have that build going on. Now, Bray Wyatt gonna have to need somebody to do it because I'm not. Let's be honest. Having Finn Balor go to NXT, that's smart. That's not I would say genius because think about it. You can have Demon Finn Balor versus the Fiend Bray Wyatt at the next WrestleMania. Dude, have a really good slow build up to that point where the intensity is high. Easy money. No joke. Easy money. So having a little separation between the two, but still have some sort of lingering, feud. Oh, beautiful. But you couldn't. It's like, so okay, what were you gonna do with Bray Wyatt? Well, you could have had Funhouse Bray Wyatt try to go after. Well, at the time, Braun Strowman was the face. I don't know if he's still a face. Yeah, he's still looked at as a face. You could have Bray Wyatt, Funhouse Bray Wyatt, constantly do vignettes, like as if he's trying to, I don't want to say better or punish, but sort of like teases, like as if he's like I already mentioned. You know, like we were a family when left me. But it's okay. I forgive you. All you have to do is come back home. Just let me in. You know, he could do things like that, but also leave him that the Fiend is unwary about Braun Strowman. The Fiend don't seem to appreciate or like the fact that Braun Strowman is one of the family members that left him. You could have built something from there. Easy picking. Or, like I already mentioned, you have so many people in your roster that you don't even use or utilize or anything. You just have them be at catering. You could have had any of them be Bray Wyatt target. For example, Ali. His current position or character is he's a very strong, positive, opinionated guy. He's all about positivity, trying to erase the negative aspect of the world and drive some power and positivity. I know it sounds like something of the New Day, but he basically trying to empower and have encouragement for people that's going through hard times. Bray Wyatt, Funhouse Bray would be like, oh, I really like your message. I mean, I just wish you were around back when I needed them. And but that's okay, because I got a friend, somebody that protects me. He's the Fiend, but lately the Fiend doesn't seem to like the fact that you seem to want to push him away because of what you think he represents. But that's okay.